Deja Perez back with another edition of What's Poppin', the podcast on 93.9 WKYS. Today, we are joined by the one, the only Nick Sneed Music.
Yes,
welcome.
Yes. Thank you for having me, Deja.
Absolutely. All right, so let's start with you're a local boy. Tell everyone where you're from.
I'm from Landover, Maryland. All my Landoverites. Landover, Maryland. Grew up right here in PG County, Village Green to be specific. Landover.
All right, and then we went to HU.
And then we went to HU, studied physics. I was really, I know. So I have a little thing I say I'm the sexiest physicist to ever sing R&B.
Okay.
Right? And really it works only because I'm probably the only physicist
Facts.
to ever sing R&B. So I figure
But own your title.
You know what I'm saying? Why not? I could take that and own it. So no, I studied physics at Howard. I pledged Kappa at Howard. I met this good brother, Leisha's at Howard. We had a black philosophy class. So yeah, HU grad. And since I've done lots of different things, but I'm sure we could talk about that.
Absolutely. Okay, so how long have you been out of school?
I've been out of school now. I graduated in 2012. So I've been out of school for about 7 years.
Okay. So when you first graduated, we'll get into the music, but when you first graduated, were you singing while you were at Howard or no? Yes.
So when I was at Howard, I dropped the album. It's my first project. It was called Sleeping Giant.
Okay.
Giant.
What was the inspiration of the name?
The inspiration of the name was that I just felt that I had a lot of potential at that moment. I know I didn't have all the network and money per se to actualize it, but I knew I had a lot of potential, and I just said this is the project that's going to be the one that people look back at and say, damn, he was on point in 2010. This is how he was able to maintain fans for so long without putting out music. It was the Sleeping Giant.
Okay, so fast forward from that project, what was next?
So from that project in 2010, I did a lot of different things. So it wasn't so much as putting out a project from that point. It was more so like producing. So I know DJ Money is someone that you probably know very well. So that's your brother from another mother, right? So yeah, DJ Money that's my brother from another too, right? So he actually was one of the people at Howard who kind of saw what I was doing and sort of was trying to work me into a system and just help me develop as an artist. So I would say from 2010 onward, I was working with Money. I was producing for people. He had me meeting Raheem Devon. I was running down to Virginia, just doing a lot of different things, networking, really a lot of artist development, I would say, yeah.
All right. So how would you say your sound has evolved from 2010 or 12 to present day?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say the sound has evolved in a way that the quality is increased.
Okay.
So I would say at first I was recording songs right there in the dorm at one point.
Like on your phone?
Look, that type of, whip that trick. What's that movie? It was real, real hood. Egg crates on the wall. That's how it was for me at first. And then, when I left school, I moved back home, so I was recording in the basement, my mom's house. So you get a certain level of quality when you're in the basement of your mom's house versus when you're in a professional studio.
Facts.
So I would say at this point, I have more access to, funds to fun going to a studio and working with HB, or fun, going to a studio and working with one of my partners like Just Cooking Up. I have a little bit more finances now to, bolster what I'm doing.
Okay. Right? So did you ever take a job in the physics field?
Yeah, I did. Okay. Yeah, I did. So my first job out of college, I worked at the American Institute of Physics.
Okay.
Yeah, right. All we did was physics. That was gang.
Didn't even
was
realize
physics.
It was a thing, but okay.
I know, right? And they actually, I was featured in a magazine for American Institute of Physics based off of the fact that I was working there, and I've since done music, and it's kind of a paradox to have a physicist do anything outside of math equations.
Right.
So I started out at American Institute of Physics, and I was just there. First, I was like an intern or something like that, kind of part-time. And then they brought me on as a full-time person, and I was, building these little engineering gadgets, things that makes different pitches and sounds based off of the water in the air, or how hard you squeeze a piece that's connected to this piece of machine. It's very physicsy thing. But I was at AIP and I was doing that for a while, and then I left the American Institute of Physics and I worked at the Patent and Trademark Office.
Oh, okay.
So a little funny story. Albert Einstein was a physicist, right? Albert Einstein worked at the Swiss Patent and Trademark Office.
Oh,
Yeah. And Nick Sneed Music worked at the American one. So,
Interesting.
so when I was at the patent and trademark office, I like worked on musical patents.
That's
It's
genius.
bizarre, right? Like, it's bizarre.
Okay.
It was the most bizarre thing. I was actually nervous to go into
That's
that.
actually really dope.
It's the weirdest thing ever. So I was looking at like microphones and like specialized microphones. I actually was able to see like the Beats by Dre application and see that kind of stuff in the system.
Sidebar, I'm sorry to interrupt. So everything in life leads you to the opportunity that you're about to be on. So
Right.
even though it seemed weird and odd at the time, it
Yeah.
prepared you for the journey. I just want to like drop that gem, but proceed.
I appreciate you dropping that. And I tell you, at the time, I was really
Yeah, you usually don't see it while you're going through it. You're usually
yeah.
raging against the machine.
I was like, yeah, exactly. The Joe Budden version. Joe Budden, raging against the machine. I was really raging against the machine. Like, but I was like, I need more money. So this patent and trademark opportunity is a different type of
I'm a
bread.
shucking job, yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna do my thing. So initially they were like, hey, look, Nick, what do you want to study? You want to do computer systems analytics? It was like 3 different things. And I was like, dog, I don't want to do none of these things. But the last one was like digital signal processing. Digital signal processing is a very fancy way of saying like audio.
Oh.
Because this microphone is a digital signal processor, right?
Got it.
It takes mechanical waves and it creates electrical waves and whatnot. So it's nerdy stuff.
He really is a physicist.
You know what I'm saying? Physicists, we lit, you know what I mean? So more or less that opportunity forayed into what I'm doing now currently, which is business consulting.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a long little journey. My journey has been very interesting. I would say it even informs how I move as an artist because I have dreams outside of being just an artist, you know.
So are you still working a 9 to 5 while you're getting your hustle on?
Absolutely. I don't even know if it's a 9 to 5. It might be like a 5 to 7. You know what I mean? And then from 7 to 11.
And that's 5 a.m. to 7 p.m.
For those that
please
don't
be clear,
know.
right? Like, yeah.
For those that don't know, 5 a.m.
The struggle is very real.
You know, and anybody that knows me will tell you, first to start, last to stop. That's kind of how I move. And that's like my mantra. That's my value system, so to speak.
Gotcha. So you had a project that came out yesterday, correct?
So yesterday I had an actual single come out.
Okay.
Right? So I dropped the single. It's this single here. And I bought you this gift. This is a great time to present you with this gift here, Deja.
Yeah, transition?
Yeah, let's
Yay.
transition a little
Okay.
bit. Yeah, so nice red bag. Anybody
Right.
knows me
Kappa
that
man.
knows the Kappa side of me
Right.
knows I'm going to give you some red. This
Caught
is
a vibe.
poster called a vibe, right?
Okay.
It's a little nifty cover. Shout out to my boy Travis who helped me put it together, visual classic. Shout out Queen Ashley, that's my babe. She
Aw.
helped me come up with the concept. Shout out to Tina, who was a very dope model who's featured here on the shoot.
Okay.
And then I had Vital Visuals, I had Creative Gentlemen. It was like a real host of people that helped put all of the creative together.
Okay.
And yeah, so the single came out yesterday. It's a song that I would say is a representation of like a futuristic version of what I was doing many moons ago on Sleeping Giant.
Okay. So what is your process like? Do you have to figure out the beat or do you figure out the song and then match the song to the beat?
First of all, that's a very good question. And I think sometimes, that was a good one. That was a good one. I think people, and sometimes maybe my approach could be a mix of both. Like maybe I'll write like a rap verse because I also rap. So sidebar, I graduated from Eleanor Roosevelt, and when I went to Eleanor Roosevelt, I was
In Greenbelt?
Yeah. So when I left Eleanor Roosevelt, my senior year, we started.
I think Angie went to Roosevelt.
Angie too?
I believe.
Angie is like she's like my sister from another mister. You feel me? But no, at Rose we were doing like rap battles, and everybody knew me for singing, but I also rap battles. So I was like, so I like to rap. And what was the
Maybe it
question?
was Elizabeth Seton. I'm
Elizabeth
sorry.
Seton?
One of the two. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, my daughter's mother went to Elizabeth Seton. That makes sense. Yeah, she liked the school. But what am I saying about my process? More or less, my process now is I'll play a song, I'll hear the beat, and I got my voice recorder on because I know that something's gonna come out just random, like, I just caught a vibe with you, babe. But it most times comes out like, I didn't mind him lying in him game. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I just hear that in my head. And I'll have the vocal recorder there because I know I'm going to forget everything I'm coming up with. And really what I like to do is I like to think that if I can make it sound good on the voice recorder, then I know that it makes sense to go into my studio and record it. And then if I can make it sound good in my studio, then I know it makes sense to start letting people hear it. If people like it, then I know it makes sense to take it to HB. So that's kind of like my process. I just kind of work through phase by phase by phase. But when it comes to writing the song, I typically start with the beat. I produce too.
Okay.
So I start with the beat. I play piano. That's
You're
my
multifaceted, all right.
Yeah. So I produce the beat, and then I'll like take that hat off and then just listen to it and vibe. I used to write a lot with one of my best friends. His name is Cholo, and we co-write songs all the time. So I would produce it, and he would be more so focusing on the songwriting piece. But
yeah, I was wondering because I think sometimes when you wear too many hats, it's hard for you to be objective to, you know what I mean? Like, or to hear inconsistencies or flaws in it because you're so used to hearing it repetitiously.
I agree. Yeah, repetitiously. Yeah, you're hearing it repeat.
Right.
And you start like to be completely honest, up until yesterday, I hated this song because I had been hearing it. Yeah, I mean it's like I've been hearing it a million times a day. I went through so much struggle to put this song together too. If you ever desire to go there at this conversation, basically, when I recorded it at a certain speed, so I recorded it a little bit slower.
Okay.
But when it was done, I was like, I wanted to be sped up a little bit because I wanted to translate to like a club, club tempo or whatever. So how easy do you think it is to speed up a song, Deja? How easy?
I don't know.
You would imagine.
But
that's
I
a pretty
talk fast, so I feel like it might be less hard for me.
Hold on, no, I'm
probably
saying
hard for me to slow it down.
To slow it down. Okay, so basically, all I'm saying is that like when I recorded the song, we had completely finished the recording and it was at one speed. Let's say it was speed X. Well, I wanted it to be speed X plus like 10 BPM. So that process.
So BPMs are beats per minute, guys.
Beats
in case
per
you don't know.
minute. Yeah, I'm sure not everybody's gonna know what that is, but BPMs, beats per minute. I wanted to be a little bit faster. So you would think that that's a very simple process, Deja, but that is like the most amazingly difficult thing. So I remember I finished the song and I was talking to the engineer. I was like, "Say, bro, I just want to speed it up a little bit. I know you could do that." And he was like, "Bro, what?"
So they can speed up the beats, but they
it?
can't speed up your vocals, is what you're saying.
It's
like you have to do the vocals over.
They can't. It's difficult for them to do either. Like once something is recorded at a certain speed, if you try to speed it up based on the laws of physics, you're
altering other things.
You're altering other things. You're adding artifacts. You might add distortion. You know what I mean? That type of stuff. So it was a doozy trying to get it sped up, and I spent so long trying to determine if I was even going to be able to put out a sped up version. But I ended up finding an engineer online who could speed it up 5 BPM, and he hooked me up. So we put it together.
But you must have listened to it like 100,000 times.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
And then I'm sharing it with people I know it sounds trash because I'm getting it back from the engineers. Sounds distorted. I'm like, but let me just send it to somebody just for GP to see what they gotta say, right? And then they say it's trash, bro, and I gotta go to another engineer. Yeah, right. Like it's too much distortion or whatever. And I appreciate the objectivity too.
Yeah,
from
and
the
the
people
honesty. So how can people get the single?
So people can get the single right now. It's on all the digital platforms, Spotify, Apple Music. Those really the title. I would say those are probably the core 3 that we want to, make sure you guys go and check it out at. Specifically Spotify, though. Spotify is the play, So go stream it on Spotify, specifically.
All right, so a couple questions. Sure. If you could work with anyone, alive or not, who would it be?
First and foremost, I would say Pharrell would have to be one of the first people that I would want to work with.
Okay.
Just from the production standpoint, I think his producing is so eclectic. You know what I mean?
Definitely is.
And I like how he's been able to transition into today's times too. He's been throwing them little 808s under his little eccentric, chord progressions. So it still sounds like Pharrell, but it sounds like it's not
current.
Dated. It sounds current.
Gotcha.
So yeah, Pharrell would be one. And you said 2?
No, I just said either alive or dead.
Oh, alive or dead. Yeah, Pharrell would be.
So you wear multiple hats. You sing, you rap, you produce, you play the piano. You're a physicist. That's about all that we've talked about so far. But what else do you plan to add to the repertoire?
That's a good question. I would say for me right now, I'm taking Nick Sneed music and I'm looking at Nick Sneed music as an opportunity to build a brand and to show others around me that, I know how to put together a team and build a brand. But at some point, my ultimate goal is to, really switch my hat and go to a CEO role, because I realize that I've been blessed to be in business. I've been blessed to learn a lot of little things. I've been blessed to have good partnerships with people. And I kind of am creating my own little system for myself. Okay. And what I want to be able to do is see artists around me who have more talent conceivably than me, right? And be able to put them in my system and have them, be able to win too. So I would say in like the 5 to 10 year outlook is, being able to sort of move into that executive role, right? So,
okay. Yeah. Sounds good. So how can everybody follow you on social media?
On social media, they can follow me at Nick Sneed Music. Everything is at Nick Sneed Music. At Nick Sneed Music. Everything. Absolutely.
Speaking of which, make sure you guys download the single.
Please stream the single. Go
you.
Check it out, please, guys. It's pretty dope.
All right. Is there anything else we didn't touch on?
No. Visit the website, nicksneedmusic.com. We're going to be adding lots of content over the coming months.
Oh, is there a video coming out for this?
So, yes, we're working on a video for this. Trying to make it epic, trying to make it dope. So, working with the director, his name is EK the Sniper. We're working with coming up with some treatments, some concepts now, so we could have that be one of the next things that we put out. At some point.
And what about a full album?
Full album. So the full album is certainly slated for the beginning of next year for sure. Okay. So in the meantime,
Which is in like 5 minutes, but go ahead.
Exactly, right? So I already got a lot of songs done. So at this point, it'll just be a matter of working with my friends, working with the people that's close to me, working with my team to say, hey, which song you like? You like A, B, C, and F? All right,
figuring out album cuts.
Yeah. Figuring out what album cut. I sort of have a concept in my mind for the title and where I want to go with it. Okay. But I ultimately don't want to feel like I'm too committed to any concept or, I want to have the flexibility to create as I see fit.
Fluidity.
Yeah.
That's important.
That's a big word. I like that.
I have an education too.
I love it.
All right. So thank you so much for joining us. Tell everyone the social media one more time.
The social media is at Nick Sneed Music. Follow me at Nick Sneed Music on all the social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. On Spotify, it's also Nick Sneed Music. Apple Music, Nick Sneed Music, Nick Sneed Music. It's not Nick Sneed, it's Nick Sneed Music.
So do you have a capacity for interns to work with Nick Sneed Music?
Absolutely, I do. And that's such a great question. Oh, my God. And that's a part of my plan, right? So over the next few months, I want to make sure that we're promoting this single in the schools, but outside of putting this flyer up, at some point I want to be doing panels and things on these campuses. So I can say, hey, guys, if you're creative and you into technology and you into, Facebook, there's some opportunities for you to work at Yacht Club. And, I work for a branding and marketing and digital transformation firm from 9 to 5. So I would love to take some of the training and skills that I've gotten and, set up people who can realistically become the next people that run Yacht Club Media. Because at some point, I want to do something else. I want to just hang out with my daughter and, ride on boats. Life. Yeah, right. Live my best life.
Got it. I'm here for all of that. Well, continued success, and make sure you come visit us when the album drops.
For sure, we'll do.
All right, bet.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for joining us for another edition of What's Poppin' the Podcast on 93.9 WKYS.